They never wanted this recorded. Behind locked doors, behind velvet curtains, behind fortunes so large they reshaped the country itself, there was another America, hidden in plain sight. This fortune was never meant to last, and the people who lived inside it knew that. There is a version of American history you've seen before. Factories, railroads, presidents, wars, progress. And then there is the version that happened after the gates closed, where marble floors echoed under silk shoes, where chandeliers cost more than entire towns, where wealth wasn't just money, it was power, insulation, and silence. This story doesn't begin with a declaration or a battlefield. It begins inside private dining rooms where decisions were made over crystal glasses and whispered agreements. Places where the lights never flickered during recessions. Places where America's future was quietly bought, sold, and reshaped. Because while the country told itself a story about opportunity, another story unfolded. One written in limestone, gold leaf, and secrecy. Long before the word luxury became aspirational, it was strategic. In the late 1800s, wealth in America began to harden. Not just grow, but solidify. Money stopped moving quickly. It settled into structures, into estates, into private rail cars, into family names that didn't need introductions. These weren't homes. They were fortresses disguised as beauty. Mansions rose along Fifth Avenue like monuments to dominance, each one larger than the last, each one competing not for comfort, but for intimidation. Inside, ceilings stretched so high they made visitors feel small on purpose. Imported marble from Italy, French tapestries older than the country itself. Libraries filled with books that were never meant to be read, only seen. Luxury wasn't about enjoyment, it was about distance. Distance from the streets, distance from labor, distance from consequence. And the wealth flowing through these rooms wasn't accidental, it was engineered. Behind every fortune was a system designed to be invisible. Money moved through trust before the word meant anything to the public. Ownership was layered so deeply that even lawyers struggled to trace it. Entire companies were controlled by men who never appeared on paper. While workers counted wages, these families counted influence. They funded politicians quietly. They shaped laws subtly. They built museums and libraries not for generosity, but for legacy. If a family's name was carved into stone, it became untouchable. If their wealth was hidden behind philanthropy, it became protected. This wasn't capitalism as competition. This was capitalism as architecture, and the architecture was designed to last forever. But luxury has a weakness. It leaves evidence. Every estate told a story if you knew how to read it. Hidden passages behind walls, so servants could move without being seen. Separate staircases so wealth never brushed against labor. Entire wings of homes closed off, preserved like private museums, never used again. These houses weren't lived in. They were performed. Dinner parties weren't social. They were strategic. Who sat where mattered. Who arrived first mattered. Who spoke last mattered. A handshake in these rooms could shift stock prices. A whispered insult could end dynasties. And the children raised inside these walls learned something early. Money wasn't to be discussed. Power wasn't to be acknowledged. And mistakes were never made in public. Outside, the country was changing. Factories multiplied, cities swelled. Immigrants arrived with nothing but hope. Inside the estates, none of that noise existed. The air was filtered, the clocks ran slower, and time itself felt negotiable. While entire industries collapsed and reformed, these families barely noticed. Their wealth wasn't tied to one business. It was tied to control. They owned railroads, yes, but more importantly, they owned the land beneath them. They owned the banks that financed them. They owned the insurance that protected them. It was a closed ecosystem, and the public never saw it. Then came the illusion of exposure. Newspapers began printing names. Journalists started asking questions. The word robber baron entered public language. But what appeared to be scrutiny was often theater. The truly powerful had already moved ahead. They diversified. They internationalized. They hid behind corporations instead of faces. The mansions still stood, but the money had learned to travel silently. Luxury evolved. No longer loud, no longer obvious. Now it was subtle, mobile, and nearly untouchable. Private islands replaced public estates. Private jets replaced private rail cars. Family offices replaced visible empires. The lesson had been learned. Visibility invites resentment. Invisibility protects power. And yet cracks formed. The very luxury designed to preserve dominance began revealing excess. Ballrooms went unused for decades. Entire wings collected dust. Servants outnumbered guests. Fortunes that were supposed to be eternal started bleeding quietly. Maintenance costs rose. Taxes followed. Public opinion shifted. What once symbolized supremacy now symbolized imbalance. And slowly the gates opened. Estates became museums. Private rooms became guided tours. Secrets were packaged as history. But what you see today is only what survived, what burned, what was sold, what was hidden offshore. Those stories stayed buried. Here's the part they never teach. Most American fortunes didn't collapse. They shed their skin. When public outrage grew, the money didn't disappear. It transformed. It flowed into foundations, into trusts, into endowments that legally couldn't be touched. The families changed their names, their companies merged, their influence went global, and luxury adapted again. Not through size, but through access. Private schools, private healthcare, private information. Luxury stopped being something you saw and became something you entered. Today, the heirs don't live in the old mansions. They live in places with no history by design, glass towers, oceanfront properties, residences registered to companies, not people. They move freely. They speak softly. They leave no paper trail. And yet the power remains. It always does. Because luxury, at its highest level, is no longer about gold or marble. It's about insulation. From laws, from markets, from instability, from you. This is why this history feels incomplete. Because the story never ended. It just went quiet. The rooms got smaller. The gatherings more private. The decisions more abstract. But the consequences still reach everyone. Every policy shift, every market crash, every bailout. Somewhere behind another locked door, someone already knew it was coming. So when you walk through a preserved mansion today, when you admire the chandeliers, when you listen to the guided stories, remember this. You're not seeing luxury at its most powerful. You're seeing what it left behind. The real archive was never meant for the public, and it never will be. So here's the question. If this is only the luxury history we're allowed to see, what parts of America's wealth story are still hidden in plain sight? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more stories pulled from behind locked doors and private archives, subscribe because this is just one chapter of a much quieter history